Thank you guys for having me. My name is Caleb Spear, and I believe that freedom is the fundamental goal of human development. Furthermore, I believe that freedom starts with empowerment. And I believe that innovation is the root of empowerment. And so our company, Portal Private Limited, is focused on creating innovations that empower. We have three branches of our company. One is Portal Shelters, another is Portal Prefab, and the third is Portal Bikes. And so the team here today asked me to come and just share some stories with all of you. Things that we've done, experiences that we've had, and hopefully some of you can take away some inspiration from this talk. We're going to start with Portal Shelters. Now, we came to Nepal with a fundamental focus on innovating in the bicycle and transportation space. We're going to get to that later, but as we all know, there was a massive earthquake a few years ago, and things changed. So we got very involved in the shelter space. Shortly after the earthquake, it became very obvious that shelter was the most significant need. Nearly 800,000 structures were destroyed, and so we, by Thursday afternoon, set about starting to design a shelter that could be used as a transitional housing unit for people who'd lost their homes. So we started sketching on our workbenches at 2 o'clock on Thursday. By Friday at 4, we were welding together bits and pieces to create our own tools to be able to build these shelters. By Friday night at 7 p.m., we had a first prototype up. We spent the weekend working on refining this prototype, gathering the necessary materials, and then by Monday at 10 a.m., we put up the first Portal shelter. Now, these shelters were absolutely fantastic for a lot of reasons. They gave families a place to start to recuperate and refocus on putting their lives back together. As compared with a tent or a tarp, this gave such a sense of security. And in our view, a huge sense of empowerment towards reconstructing and rebuilding their own lives. But it wasn't just the product that was innovative here, it was the way it was implemented. This was an open source design. We realized that we were a very small organization. When the earthquake hit, I think we had about 4 working staff at the time. And so we wanted to open source this project to allow as many people as possible to get their hands on it, to bring shelters to people. It was fantastic because it empowered a grassroots disaster relief. This open source system allowed us to simply prepare materials for people, train them in how to assemble those shelters, and then send them out with the tools that they needed to do so. This meant that rather than waiting on the typical system of large INGOs bringing in tarps and tents from abroad, individuals and small organizations, small businesses were able to make this happen. We worked with a few large partners, Oxfam, other large INGOs, but the vast majority of the people we worked with were local business people, were Rotary Club members, were neighbors, and they came together taking about 25 shelters at a time into the communities that were affected. In total, we estimate there were about 10 to 15,000 shelters that were taken out as part of this effort, which is a fantastic number. We can still see many of those sitting around different parts of Nepal right now. Those that have disappeared have been deconstructed and turned into permanent homes. Really fantastic project, and it had an amazing impact on so many lives. As we wrapped up the shelter project, we started looking into permanent housing. And the reality is that the TV cameras have gone home, a lot of the excitement has faded, but there are still 800,000 structures needing to be rebuilt. And so we tried to take some of the lessons we learned with Portal Shelters and said, what can we do to make a successful long-term housing project? And so some of the highlights of our shelters that worked really well was the fact that they were fast and easy to build. Anybody could get their hands on them, learn the system, and put one of these up. They were easy to transport, they were affordable, they were owner-driven in the design. It involved people putting them up with their own 2 hands as part of the process. And finally, they were earthquake resistant. And so we started with Lego. How many in here are familiar with Lego? You guys know this? So it's a great plaything, right? It's a children's plaything, but I love that Lego is so simple. Their instructions don't involve any words. You don't have to be able to read anything. You don't have to understand a particular language. You just have to be able to look at pictures and look at colors. And so we started with a similar system. We fabricate everything in our factory, we color code it, and so long as you can look at pictures, follow the colors, you can bolt everything together very quickly on site. Another aspect of reconstruction which was significant to us was the ease of transport. On this Mahindra mini truck, there are 2 portal shelters, portal prefabs. Each of these homes are 9 meters by 5 meters long, and you can see how compact it is. People are able to take those. Is this a fire drill? That would be really exciting. Maybe not. All right, so anyhow, these are compact, they're lightweight, they're easy to move. So you can take these on a helicopter, you can take them on porters, you can take them on the backs of horses. Very easy to move these structures into the remote areas of Nepal. These are affordable. A small family home, about 3 meters by 5 meters, costs just 1.13 lakh. A much larger building, 12 meters by 5 meters, is under 3 lakh. That can be used as a school building, a clinic, something of that sort. Owners are very, very much involved in the reconstruction of these buildings. They have a say in how the walls come together and what the windows look like and the layout of the building. And I think that that's absolutely critical, that people aren't just being handed something, that they have a vested interest in their own lives and the development of their own lives. And it's not simply aid from outside, but it's something that with pride they can say, I built this. Finally, these are earthquake resistant. Now, the structure you guys see up there is a portal prefab. That's the finished package that is built in about 1 day in a village. Now, there's a few things that are interesting about this. It is a bolt-together system. It's made of a steel frame. This means that you don't have to have any welding expertise or electricity in the village to be able to put it together. But the most unique part of this is the fact that it's wrapped in jali, or chain link fencing. And the reason we did this was so that the structure could go up quickly, but then we knew the reality is that so many people are familiar with traditional building techniques and they'll be trying to recycle their old materials. And because it's so difficult to get to some of these places with all of the cement and rebar, we wanted to create a solution that was still earthquake resistant, but also mindful of traditional building techniques. So when people start to reconstruct these, they build a traditional tile wall system, but on the outside of the chain link fencing. When they're finished, they can plaster that wall system and it looks like a traditional village home. But in the event of an earthquake of sufficient magnitude to bring that wall down, no one in the structure would be hurt. Now, we've seen a great incremental design process with this. This photograph was taken about a month after the structure went up. You can see that this family hasn't had the resources to properly build their walls, but they've started putting some CGI up here. They've recycled some of the tripal from their shelter and are building this into a home for themselves. As people start to put the walls up, you can see how a stone wall goes up on the outside of this chain link. And when the homes are finished, they look really, really beautiful, like a traditional home that people are familiar with. So anyway, this has been an enormously successful project thus far. We're delighted to have been a part of it. And I love the fact that by getting structures like these out, people are empowered to start looking at their lives again. Their farms, their businesses, their educations. They have a place to study and a place to live that's safe and resistant to earthquakes. For anyone who's interested in this project, you can find out more at our website, portalprefab.org. Now, I say all of that as sort of an intro to our main point of focus, which is portal bikes. We did not know that an earthquake was going to hit when we arrived. We sort of got sidetracked with some of these other projects. But portal bikes is our core focus. I absolutely love bicycles. I got married on the back of a bicycle. I'm such a fan for these things. But the bicycle isn't just a neat sort of cultural, social, hipster thing. It really has a lot of power. A bicycle can increase a person's carrying capacity 5 times. So if you carry 20 kilograms all day on your back, now you can carry 100. A bicycle increases the distance you can travel in the same amount of time by a factor of 4. And for every 10 miles traveled by a bicycle, you save 3 hours of time. It's absolutely profound. I mean, bicycles are huge in terms of transportation infrastructure. Well, in 2006, I moved to Nepal. And I had this idea that I'm going to share with you guys the story on. I was staying in a home, and the family that was watching our home, their son spent 2 to 3 hours walking to college every morning, 2 to 3 hours walking back. That was the college that the family could afford. And then mom did this. You guys are all familiar with this scene, I'm sure. And this is not unique to Nepal. This same picture happens all around the world, where ladies are sitting down, spending hours and hours processing mokkai, right? Breaking these kernels off. And I looked at this and I thought, it's a travesty that these wonderful people are spending so much time to produce such minuscule income. Their son could have been working another job if he didn't have to walk. Their son could be studying for his exams so he could get a better education. Mom could be doing so much more valuable things, and yet they're forced into a system that prevents them from doing that. So we started looking at that space and saying, okay, what difference can we make? World Bicycle Relief is an amazing organization. They're working in Africa. And World Bicycle Relief primarily focuses on bicycles as a means of transportation. Excellent work, but we want to take it further than that. Has anyone ever seen a hippie blender before? The bicycle-powered hippie blender? Well, these things turn up in American eco-festivals, green festivals, right? And inevitably, someone has taken a bicycle, they've re-welded it together, and they've turned it into this really cool machine. So people can make smoothies and margaritas. It makes for a great little project. But what this inspires in me is the fact that a bicycle can serve as a source of power. Now, this is no longer a bicycle. They cannot ride this home. It's going to have to be carried in the back of a truck. But it can produce power, which led us to this. Looking at a bicycle and trying to figure out how we can use a bicycle as both a means of transportation and a source of power. And if we could do that, we believe that we could really have a transformational impact. With this, I had a eureka moment, which was the bicycle PTO. Now, a PTO, or power takeoff, is not a new idea. The basic concept is this. You can see on this old Model T pickup truck, there's an engine in there. It's a source of power. And typically that source of power is used for transportation. But in this case, with a simple attachment, they are able to connect a band and use that source of power not for transportation, but for powering a machine. And in this case, these guys are running a sawmill to cut logs. We wanted to do the same thing with a bicycle. So in 2008, I moved back to the United States and started working on this idea in my spare time, dreaming, designing, trying to figure out how we could turn a bicycle quickly and easily into a machine. 2012, we started prototyping on this idea and finally came up with a working proof of concept. So on the back of a bicycle, we had a corn sheller, we had a grain grinder, we had a water pump. This was one bicycle that could convert easily into completely different machines. And with that, we knew we were onto something and wanted to start a pilot project. I moved back to Nepal in 2013 with my family, and we started working on this. We hired a small staff, opened a workshop, and began evolving this bicycle. Now, what came out of this project was the Portal Bicycle platform. And I like to think of it similar to my phone. Many of us have a smartphone, and this is a device that can convert into many, many different things. While it's a similar piece of hardware, a simple adaptation or a different piece of software suddenly makes my phone a banking device, or allows my phone to monitor my health, or with a different piece of software, it can suddenly convert into a social media networking connection app, right? So one piece of hardware has the flexibility. It becomes an open platform to address a huge variety of needs. So we've tried to do the same thing with a bicycle. Our bicycle has interchangeable side wings, so you can take these off and put on a different carrying component if you want to carry different types of materials. You can carry water bottles on these, you can carry gas cylinders, you can carry bags of different stuff. You can carry your family, that's a kid's seat on the back of this bike. But the thing we're most excited about as we started piloting this project and creating these different pieces was this PTO. You can see that there is a rotating shaft there, and then there is an extra chain on the back of this bicycle. Now, this is a really simple machine. It can roll up into a location very quickly. You put a center stand down, and just like that, you're able to sit on the bicycle and turn it from a means of transportation into a source of power. And with that, we've created a whole variety of different attachments as part of the pilot. We did a grain grinder, we have a prototype washing machine, and a corn sheller. Now the corn sheller is one of my very favorite things. This was kind of where the idea started, watching how much time was required to break these kernels of corn off. And so we went into a field testing phase. We took the corn sheller into a village and we spent about an hour and a half in this lady's barn. And we were taking pictures and seeing just how it worked. And we got to the end of the trial and she said, you know, in an hour and a half, you guys have done the equivalent amount of work as what I would normally pay 2 ladies to do over a period of 2 days. The efficiency was just absolutely astounding. And the economic benefit to her was huge. Well, outside of tools, these bicycles have a huge cargo carrying component. And I want to show you guys Bharat. Bharat runs a small business on a bicycle and uses his bicycle as a push cart. We all have seen many, many people around town doing the same thing. Well, Bharat decided to buy a portal bike. He put the pieces together and understood just how efficient this could make his business. So did you guys notice what he said? That the errands that normally took him 8 hours to complete were taking 4 hours with a cargo bicycle. Instead of pushing his things around, he was able to ride with them. It's changes like this that excite and inspire us. Well, we wrapped up a pilot project and had a slight interruption with the earthquake, hence the portal shelters and portal prefab project. But as we have been able to focus back in on this bicycle, we are working on bringing this to market. We recently finished a workshop and factory down in Chobar. It's probably one of the cooler office spaces in Kathmandu, so if you're down that way, we're not so far from the modern Indian school, please drop in and say hi. We've also been working on developing a supply chain to get these bicycles to market in mass with good quality parts. And this summer, we're going to be releasing an absolutely incredible new bicycle. This is one of our pre-production samples. I can't show you any more than that right now, but we've taken everything that we've learned from a huge amount of customer feedback and testing in the field, and we have an absolutely magical bicycle that we'll be launching. And we're going to start seeing these pop up all over Kathmandu. You're going to notice them being used by small businesses, in agricultural production. And you'll see them transporting students to school, collecting waste, being used as micro-taxis, delivery vehicles, corn shelling, bringing goods to market, being used as mobile libraries for water purification, as ambulances and mobile clinics. The flexibility of this tool is absolutely profound, and the need for it extends far beyond just Nepal. We're talking to people all around the world who have seen what we've been able to create here and said this would be absolutely perfect in our context. All of this goes back to innovation, and I love the way that these bicycles connect innovation and empowerment together. The bicycle in and of itself, yes, it's innovative, but when it's in the hands of an entrepreneur, it creates a feedback loop that allows that entrepreneur to be innovative themselves and to look at the bicycle and say, how am I going to readapt, reuse, repurpose this bicycle in a way to connect different tools or carry different things and create innovations in and of themselves. All of this leads to our main goal of creating freedom in the world. Thank you.